And we're live.
All right, welcome to another Thursday night of the Guitar Gear Locker, and this is live show number 19. And my name is Alex Brooks, and this is my co-host Roger Sutherland. 9:30 Eastern Standard Time.
And we should probably introduce the first person that was on the show at 5:25, Necrosian.
Yes, Mr. Joe Young.
He beat us to the show once again. I don't know how he knows, but I had probably just set it up at 5:25 and he made the first comment.
Well, I was just talking about him, and he
there he is.
Really cool guitar deal that he came across today. Really good price. So you can definitely get some guitars right now. I think it's some really great deals because nobody's buying anything. So
there's some good deals out there.
Yeah.
There's some good deals. So, before we go on, I want to throw out a teaser that we talked about a guitar during the pre-NAMM show that we did, and I bought that guitar, and we're going to talk about that guitar later on. But I just wanted to tease that up front. Cool guitar, but you might be interested in some. I mean, it's typical of what we talk about every week, but I guess we could talk about that a little later. We'll work to it. I just wanted to say it up front. But yeah, you're right. Somebody texted me. It's funny how all guitar people kind of like, you see a deal and you send it, because I had a customer come by today and pick up his Charvel that I posted earlier on social media. And, he sent me another Charvel, and they're doing killer deals on these things. It was discounted heavily. So good time to buy if you're on the market.
Yeah. If you got the money, definitely.
I did. Yeah. I bought. So, and they're giving deals, and I got a good deal on it. So I told you I had like topic number one. I always like to surprise you because we did talk for like almost 2 hours last night. So not a lot of it surprises you when I bring it up. So we kind of worked out our plan, but I like to throw a sidewinder at you, which isn't really a sidewinder. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees. What do you think? I'm going to look to the right to start working off my list.
I don't even know who they are. So
what?
I don't. So
all right. So I'll go down. What's that?
So fill me in.
All right. So I want to do this kind of in two parts. So I did a little, of course I heard it on the radio and on the news and everything yesterday. I was surprised, but I wanted to get your take, and anybody listening or watching. We have a couple of people watching, comment. I'm going to have to keep looking over here at my notes. So number one, I'm surprised they're not in already. Bad Company.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, been around a long time. Black Crow.
I could see them being in.
What's that?
Black Crow.
Black Crows.
Black Crows.
Yeah. Mariah Carey.
There you go. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Right. I almost did. Well, and I know some of these bands and rock stars don't really even get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because they've been snubbed so many times. But you would almost think that they need to make subgenres or subcategories or.
Well, I guess Mariah Carey would fall more into the
she is pop.
Pop and R&B. R&B as well.
Yeah.
Now I like R&B, but I like R&B, say the 60s and the 70s.
Yep.
R&B today, no, I wouldn't.
Yeah. So wait a minute. Remember, and we talked about this. I'm going to have to be rude and look at my phone so I can look at this because I want everybody to look this up. So remember, us and our lovely wives went out to dinner, and I heard Teddy Swims, and I was like, listen to this dude's voice, man, like super soulful. And we could hardly hear it over, the noise in there. But he was on a couple radio shows and said that he got his start in metal, like extreme metal. So if I didn't want to pull this up because I don't know how YouTube handles these things, and I'll get back to our list in a minute, but Teddy Swims, who is a really good R&B guy, soulful voice, really good singer. He was known as Jaten Dimsdale, Jaten Dimsdale, from a band named Eris, Eris. Talk about a complete like two worlds. Yeah, I saw the video. You and I talked about it a couple weeks ago, and I told you I heard him in an interview and he said he was in a death metal band, metalcore, and I couldn't believe it. Tonight, right before we came on, I heard it. I was like, whoa, he kind of was. And his voice doesn't sound as soulful.
Hey, that's okay, man. You know, I mean, it's just, you know, I'm a music fan, and I never even look at myself as like, oh, I'm this or that. I'm just a musician.
Yep. And, if it's good, it's good. But I know I detoured there for a minute, but I just thought that was interesting, and it was a squirrel moment, but it was mine. The next is, I want to see the look on your face, Chubby Checker.
Okay.
I'm good with that, right?
I'm good with that too. Yeah, he deserves to be there.
I'm surprised he's not in it. Man, there's a whole dance.
Should have been in there 30 years ago.
Yeah, I think even kids know who Chubby Checker is, you know? The next one, surprise, Joe Cocker.
Yeah, another guy should have been in there too.
Yeah, I'm super surprised. Billy Idol.
I love Billy Idol.
I'm gonna keep putting his Do the Twist. Yeah, man, everybody knows it. They've been doing it since before I was on Earth, I think. Billy Idol, New Order. So that's kind of like new wave. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And great. I have to say that. So
Joy Division. It's just the previous
Joy Division. It's Joy Division / New Order.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, and now we're kind of getting in the 80s new wave era. Billy Idol, coming from the punk world, and then Billy Idol, Cyndi Lauper. So yeah, okay, I'm there. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. Mana, M-A-N-A.
Who?
Never heard of them. Mana, M-A-N-A, with a little accent over the A.
Oh, yeah. Okay. 70s band. I'm not. I
don't think so.
No?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm clearly lost on that.
Well, I mean, okay.
The next one, as you would say, the next one is a fail because they have to talk to each other first. Oasis.
I love the first Oasis record. So, but to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I mean. My favorites out of the bunch is Joy Division and New Order, Billy Idol, and Black Crowes would be.
But wait, there's more.
Oh, okay.
But wait.
Wait.
So Oasis, Outcast. Now that's definitely not great players. Who? Oasis? Great players? I think he's talking about it.
Maybe Black Crowes he's talking about. I don't know.
Mana. I just mess around now. So Outcast. Oh yeah. He's talking about Oasis. So Outcast, not necessarily rock and roll. I remember when they came out. Our daughter was very small at the time, like toddler size, younger than Freya. And they had one song out, and that kid would dance all over the place when she heard it. It was actually, so it kind of brings back memories for me, but not good enough memories to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Fish?
Yeah.
No. And not only that, I think they're being a little bit weird about it. Like, I think Fish.
Either
they
like
snubs or they're too
like, Grateful Dead Jr. band, right?
Exactly. Yeah, just a jam band. Yeah.
I mean, Grateful Dead, I never got it. I think one of the worst bands ever.
You know what? They had some stuff come out in the 80s, right? Like 82, 83, they had something come out, and that was okay. I like their older stuff in the 70s. like driving that train high on cocaine. I mean, but you had to be into it. That was okay. Not a big, I don't want you to think I was a big fan. Fish, no. And yeah.
So all I got to say is, where is Motorhead?
Wait a minute.
Motorhead? Where's Iron Maiden?
Right. Wait. Okay. Don't ruin it. Don't ruin it. We got to work here first. We got to work here first. All right. We have to work into it. So if you haven't figured it out by now, I'm OCD. I have to work down a list first. Soundgarden. I'm good with that. You know, I'm good with that.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, me too.
Wait a minute, Cheech. Don't get ahead of us. Don't get.
I'm a big Soundgarden fan, so especially their early stuff.
Yeah. I'm a big, as you know.
I got into them when they were just kind of like an underground kind of thing before they really broke their EPs and stuff like that. So I'm good with a couple of those. I mean, and I think the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is probably listening to every word I'm saying. So they're going to take all of my advice under advisement and then do what they want and put in I'm going to say it's going to be Mariah Carey and Fish and Mana that are going to get in.
All right, last one.
So these are the nominees. These are not who are being inducted.
Correct. Last one on this list. There could be others. I think this is the complete list. The White Stripes. You know what? I have to say, everybody talks about him and his guitar player, and he seems to be like a guitar player. I don't get it.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I would consider it is obviously it's rock. White Stripes I would consider to be a rock band, but in terms of influential and things like that, that's what's important. And there's where is Motorhead?
Wait, you're jumping ahead again. You're jumping ahead.
Okay. All right.
All right. Now here, and I just wrote down some of the ones, and it's a big list of people that they call them snubs, but people that just haven't been included. So Motorhead, Blue Oyster Cult.
Blue Oyster Cult should be in there.
BTO. Bachman Turner Overdrive isn't in.
Bachman Turner Overdrive. I agree with that one too. Yeah, come on.
Man, how the hell? Their song is literally on everything. How can they not be in this? And all of their music.
What is the one record? It's like Fragile something, or I can't know what the hell the name is.
If you don't know the name, I'm not going to know.
Well, I used to listen to it in the I guess it would be late 70s or whatever. It was the 8-track.
Yeah, right. I was around during that. So we'll let Cheech in now. Cheech, you are now allowed to put this up here. You have to wait your turn. Yeah, so I didn't want you to get ahead because Iron Maiden's on the list. Motorhead is.
Hey, Judas Priest got in, so Priest is already in there. So I mean, it's about time.
They just made it too, right? It had been a while for
I guess it was a year or two ago.
Yeah, and I think he's talking about BTO. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Grand Funk Railroad. That's another one. Did I have that one? I was just trying to. So Iron Maiden, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. ELP is on there. God.
Oh, they're not in there.
They're not.
ELP is not in.
Dio.
Wow.
The Cult.
I'm down with the Cult. I'm a huge Cult guy.
Oddly enough, so Billy Idol, I saw the Cult. They opened for Billy Idol years ago, right up the road in Fairfax. I saw them up there together. Yeah, that was a pretty good concert. But yeah, BTO, Blue Oyster Cult. That was the one that really surprised me. But there's a lot. Iron Maiden, Motorhead.
It's just it's ridiculous.
Grand Funk Railroad. It is insane. I don't know how. They kind of. Well, they've been a joke for years. So yeah, it's just kind of curious.
It just doesn't mean anything. If anything, it's like if some of these artists that get in there, it's good for their fans to see them appreciated.
Yeah.
But does it really mean anything?
And I'm not taking anything like you know, Mariah Carey has a phenomenal voice. Like nobody disputes that.
Oh,
It's just not
oh
rock and
no,
roll.
no.
But that and then Joe Cocker, she came in through the bathroom window. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you go? I just think they need to make, I mean, Rogers World, they need to make categories and probably everybody be happy. But I think there's some people that like Fish. I don't think Fish wants to be in it because they're too cool for school. They're all smoked up anyways. They don't care. They don't care about this stuff. So yeah, that was so that
Thin Lizzy. Come on, man.
right. There were and there's a gigantic list. I couldn't put them all up here. I just put some of the ones that were more
the Scorpions aren't in there either, right?
Yeah, I didn't make it. So the list that I found of snubs was it was snubs of good bands was I think it was a list of 145. I was like, man, I could go down that. So I mean, you could go down this list. It's crazy some of the people that aren't in it and some of the people that are in it. Like New World Order. I mean, that's okay. You know, new wave-ish back then, but I mean, over Iron Maiden, how'd they get in there before? But I don't know. It's all commercialized. So everybody, I know everybody in the comments pretty much knows you and that you're a musical encyclopedia. I just find it interesting to see what your take is on things like this.
I just don't pay attention to that, you know, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's just not
right.
I mean, I enjoy it when somebody like, for instance, Judas Priest got in, or you know, Sabbath, or you know, Metallica got in, and you know, but yeah, and you know, Rush finally got in, and Yes got in, and you know, oh, here's another one. I don't think ever been in King Crimson. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
The Moody Blues took forever for them to get in.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's really weird. I don't, you know, it's I don't know. I don't know how things work, but I'm just, you know, me as like the general guy on the street, not in the music industry. I just watch this stuff. I'm like, how does that happen? But you know, again, I mean, it's probably time. Like, stop calling it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Call it something else. Make subcategories, subgenres, whatever you want. But I think what it does is it just divides everybody and pisses everybody off. You know, everybody that's passionate about their music genre, they just get pissed when their band, their person doesn't. I mean, they're all talented. Maybe not Oasis.
Yep.
Let's see. Cheech has Eminem was inducted and said at the podium, I feel out of place now. Not sure why I'm here, really. So the Hall of Fame. Yeah, man. I mean, that's credit to him.
Hey, there you go. Give him credit for saying that.
You have to give him credit. And I mean, he's no, I mean, in his genre, he's definitely no slouch. But then wasn't it Dolly Parton did something else, right? She got inducted in, was it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Last year.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. What? Come on, Dolly Parton's.
Because she was kind of going, if I'm not mistaken, maybe it was something else. Somebody.
I would think country music, but you know, I mean, Dolly Parton. Come on, you know, she's an absolute, you know, musical legend in American music. Period.
You know, and a great person too.
Oh
she's an American treasure. You know, and I think if I'm not mistaken, and if somebody in the comments that Google's easy for you, it's harder to do when you're doing this. I think it was this. It was something, and she was like, "Hey, I'm not rock and roll," but I think she ended up going through with it.
I mean, if you think about even in rock and roll, I mean, you think about all the blues guys that, you know, helped create rock music, you know, and where are all those guys? You know, it's like
you're right.
So,
and then Styx,
Is Styx in? I think did they get in, or I don't know.
I don't think. You know, and it's funny because what's that?
Journey got in, I think, like 2 years ago.
BB King. Wow, he's
BB King. Is BB King didn't get in, or he is in? He should be in. I mean, come on.
He's got to be. He's got to be. So yeah, I mean, if he's not, that's. I don't know. I don't get it. I just thought it was interesting. You know what I do? I go through the week as I'm doing stuff. I just run across topics that I find interesting that I want to talk to you about. So, and Negotiation said, I'm not sure. Is he giving us false information up here?
I think he might be.
I know.
Hey, and, yeah,
he
can go on and on and on.
Yeah. There's a million. Sorry, I had to hit my little cough button. So the next thing I found interesting as I was perusing things this week is the tariffs. And this one person that I was listening to was talking about Chibson guitars. And we've talked about those, and there are people that like those. And I'm all for it. If that's your thing and you want to make your own thing out of it, cool. I've helped a couple people do it. We've talked about those. But the tariffs may make that, and I'm gonna have to read so I can go over it because I don't have it all committed to memory. But the tariffs may make those a little more scarce in the United States, which may not be a bad thing. I think it may be good for the U.S. guitar market and the Mexican and like we talked last night. The Japanese, the Japan guitars come in or come in.
I don't think Japan, there's going to be any issues with Japan.
Right. So to kind of dig in, and I'm just going to kind of give the Reader's Digest. So the tariff, and there's already, I don't know if, and I guess I knew and I didn't know, like I think we're kind of acting like, tariffs are a new thing. And you can remember, I experienced this with and I'm not going to name them because I love the company, but they're overseas. And I imported their product and I was a dealer for them. And the product's pretty expensive. And everybody wonders why it's so expensive. I think I've even talked about it on the podcast before.
Italian product?
No, if I say the country, we're going to know exactly who it is. But yeah, and I don't want them to think I'm talking. All right, I'll say it. I'm not. I love them. It's Vega Trim. So as a Vega, I probably still am technically a Vega Trim dealer, but I had to pay these tariffs to get in the country. Like as soon as they got the custom, I had to pay, the differential between the cost of, the euro and the dollar. And then every time my phone rang, I felt like somebody was calling me and put their hands in my pocket on that order. So it wasn't awesome, but I do like their I didn't want to say because I love their stuff. It's very good. But the way that the Chibson guitars are going to work, so they've been talking a lot, but they kind of finalized on a tariff of 10%. So you take and add 10% to a $200 guitar, $300 guitar, whatever. Still not hateful. So that's number one. Number two is they have the de minimis rule, which says you have to pay an import fee on anything below $800. Or in the past, you haven't had to pay it on anything below $800. Now you do. So that's another fee. So in the past, that's kind of skirted under the system because it didn't make the threshold. And I think this is the deal breaker. And I know it was with you when we talked about it last night, is they're basically going to consider you an importer of foreign goods. And you're going to have to go on record in some sort of way, social security number, EIN, employee identification number of your business, whatever. So you're going to have to send all that stuff to China, basically, to get one of these Chibson guitars, is the stuff that I've read. Now, this is just what I've read. So, is that 100? Am I the aficionado on tariffs? Probably not. I don't think I studied that well in high school. So, but the thing is the bigger companies are already paying those. We talked last night, the made in Japan, ESPs, those guitars coming out of there. Korea probably won't affect them. And we're already paying. I heard somebody today, like on cars, we pay Europe a 10% import fee or tariff. But when we send our stuff back there, they only do a 2.5. So I think they're just trying to even things up. But all that aside, without getting into cars and tariffs and all that crap, this is more related to the Chibsons. This could put a dent in those things coming in, because at 200 at 10% tariff to it, not a big deal. but having to do the rest of the finances, the other charges, the import fees, they're a pain in the ass, trust me. And then
Well, if you
send it
think
to
about,
China.
yeah, I mean, if you think about the price point changing to get a, let's face it, really not a well-made instrument at a
Yeah,
super cheap price. It's
right,
you're paying that extra buck for a guitar that's really not even worth it anyway.
right, right,
At least in my opinion of
right,
Chinese made guitars,
right.
and my experience with those guitars are just they're not very good,
Well, and it's not all
But
like there's
I get if
some of
it's
these.
like if you want to, have a guitar that you want to work on, and
Yeah,
especially if if you're experimenting, working on guitars and all, it's a good thing to have like cheap instrument that you can destroy or make it into
yeah,
something else,
right.
experiment with, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, we've done some cool projects with them, and this isn't like there's some made in China guitars. I have an Epiphone that is my pickup tester, as you know, and it's a
Mhm,
made in China Epiphone. It's an older one,
mhm.
but this is more like in line with the AliExpress Chibsons that I'm talking about. The
Yeah,
super,
yeah,
and it's going to affect, unrelated to guitars. It's going to affect AliExpress,
mhm,
same exact way.
yeah,
They're just trying to nip that in the bud with all that cheap crap coming in the country.
yeah.
But yeah, so that was one thing that I saw this week that I found kind of interesting. Kind of didn't know what your take was on it, but I
Yeah.
know it.
Well, I mean, if it's going to help the American market, fine. But let's also make a quality American instrument that's not overpriced as well, which has
Yep.
been going on for a while now. You
Right.
know,
Right.
at least in my opinion, when we talk about companies like Gibson and Fender in some cases too,
Right.
I think. I just think Fender seem to be a little bit more consistent
Yeah.
in less issues and for the price point. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I think I told you an example about today. I still can't remember the name of the guitar distributor, and it's a big channel. And I think one of the things that they specialize is Fender custom shop master built guitars.
Right.
And I saw that they ordered a guitar, waited like a year to get
Yeah.
this guitar. And they didn't ask for, they asked for a Telecaster. They got a Strat where the pickups were put in backwards,
Right.
like slanted wrong,
Mhm.
and finish was all wrong. And it's just like, how do you screw something up that bad?
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
not good.
and you know me, I usually always speak pretty highly about Fender.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, obviously, everybody makes mistakes, but that's a pretty big one,
Yeah.
especially
Everybody has a bad
master
day.
instrument, you know.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's different when you have a one-off bad day, but when there's a lot of bad days, and we're like we were talking about the price of these things, and I get it. Like we're going to pay a little bit more, and the companies have to provide a good wage to their employees, and some of that
Yeah.
cheap stuff is because people aren't making squat over there making these Chibsons, and they're made out of pretty low quality materials. But,
Mhm.
I think at the end of the day, and we preach about it every week, it's like everybody's just gotta up their game with the quality. And again, we're gonna talk about this one on the bench behind me.
Mhm.
It's just, it's interesting sometimes to see what you see. And now I'll a little word, just, helpful hint on guitars, right now is, you know, sometimes you can, yeah, sometimes you can, when you get a new guitar, you get some really sharp fret ends. And this time of year, if I can go out on a limb a little bit, you're probably noticing a little bit of sprout. Some of my guitars are getting a little bit of fret sprout. Keep in mind, especially here on the East Coast, we've had a super cold winter so far. It snowed again, but then it was like 60 today, so who knows? Um,
Mhm.
so with all that heat, especially if you have electric heat or wood stove or propane or whatever, That's super dry heat. So make sure you keep your humidification up. I'm in a basement, and I was struggling to keep 40% humidity down here, running a whole house humidifier and 2 portables. And I started noticing a little sprout. I'm noticing it on guitars coming in, is why I bring it up, but not what we're going to talk about in a couple minutes. Yep, I agree. They do.
I'm right there with you.
You can make them. So I wonder, I don't know if he'll, there may be somebody watching right now. He'll know we did that ESP Chibson for him. He's going to come back in. We did something for one of his guitars, so he's going to come pick it up. And I told him to do this. I wanted to monitor that made in China guitar that he got. We've talked about the ESP, the James Hetfield. So I wanted to monitor it to see how it does through the winter. And he said the neck has moved again. So, and he can chime in the comments if he's watching. He watches occasionally, so maybe he can enlighten us. But I'll, if not, I'll have more information on that next week. So the other thing I want to do is I'll have to share my screen on this one. So first, he said junket. Oh, wait a minute. What? Oh, wow, that was bad. Yeah, junket. No, he actually. So we can talk about it a little bit. So that was, if his rationale was, if he bought this guitar, it would have been like $20,000. So he brought it over, and we just used the body and the neck, and he put the headset in it and all new electronics and did fret work on it, and it played good and sounded good. And it's what he wanted. Like, you're not going to go out and spend $20,000 on that guitar. Who has that? Some people do, not me. So yeah, I don't know that, like, he knows what he has, and he enjoys it and works for him. But
and that's all
they need work when they come in. Frank Martin, Alamo Music is the channel that did the wrong guitar video.
Okay. All right. Yeah. That sounds
I'm gonna have to watch that. And then of course we got the junket. All right. So before we go into the next our next little topic on Roger's wonderful list, I want to put my disclaimers up. Like, I have a new sales rep with Sweetwater. He is great to deal with. Sweetwater was great on this guitar we're going to talk about. But I've had people that are buying Sweetwater guitars, and I know this topic has been talked about a lot on the internet, but I want to make sure we get it on record on our channel. And it's the Sweetwater 55-point inspection. And just talk about, like, we can together look at, I'm going to pull it up. We'll together look at what it is and talk about what it isn't. Hold on, it takes me a second here. Nope, stand by. Oh, here we go. I told you they have. Now I can get on this. StreamYard needs to make this simpler. I'm going to say that every week. All right. So this is and I'm going to have to look this way because I see it over here. Yeah, you can see it on there, right?
Yep.
So I'm going to go over what it isn't first. So it isn't a traditional setup with fret leveling. It's not that. It's close. But it's a quality control inspection checklist. And I can tell you, I'm almost positive this is on their website because of Phil McKnight and his podcast. He works very closely with them. Like I say, they're a great company. This isn't anything about them. It's just, I have people coming in here and they're like, well, it doesn't need a setup because it already got one at Sweetwater. But I just wanted, and I'm not going to cover all of these, but this is their 55 points. And, they're going to make sure it gets acclimated. And they tell you when it comes in, like mine had a little card with it and said, or actually a tag on top of it where you would open the box and it said, hey, you might not want to open this. And it was a cold day. It was like, you might want to let it get acclimated for 24 hours. The Croatian. Yeah, Sweetwater's great. I haven't always. I'll admit that. I haven't always, but I'm
zero complaints with Sweetwater. Great company.
Yeah. I'm really happy with them. And they've helped me out as a small business. There's sometimes that I just don't have time to research the things that they deal with every day. So I can call my rep, and he's very helpful. So they're basically going to look over the cosmetics and the construction, and look at the polish and polish it, the fingerboard surface, which mine was a little dry when it came in, strings, plastic parts, hardware check, and where I don't know how. I don't know that they open it up and check the switches and the potentiometers, or they just assume it's there if the volume turns up and down and the tones. But they're just basically it's a QA, which I like. I love this. It is what it is, and it's not what it's not. So I just wanted to kind of cover this to show like it's a quality assurance kind of thing. But they're making sure it plays, they're making sure it's in tune. But if it gets to your house and you read this, and they've checked it for playability and the action and all that kind of stuff. But then they're what, in Indiana, it's gonna go UPS, it's gonna come through whatever, if it's hot outside, if it's cold in the back of a truck, what have you. And the action's probably not going to be the same when it gets to your house, but they've checked it all. So I guess the reason I brought this up is I just experienced it. I wasn't dissatisfied with it, but I do. And I just had this a few days ago, somebody said, hey, I just bought this, came from Sweetwater, should be good to go. They did a setup. It's just not a setup. It's close, but it's more like checking it for the quality of it. And they do a good job at that. And there's some things that I just don't think. So I'm going to say all the good stuff about them. There's some stuff that I just don't think is their problem, and I don't. If you experience, sharp fret ends, I mean, if it's that far, what do you do with it? I mean, it's not like they're going to send it to a tech and they have, especially the volume that they deal with. Could you imagine having that many techs doing fret work on it back there? Should have been done correctly in the first place. So, without getting into and it applies to guitars value $390. I didn't see that. $399 and above. So mine fell into that. So that's kind of like the quick down and dirty. I know it probably bored everybody stiff, but we all talk about it a lot. We say, hey, we bought from Sweetwater. They did a setup. Good to go. So that's what it is. I wonder, it's going to make me stay by. So that being said, so we talked about and I will share the screen on this. And I'm sure anybody that watched this will remember it. If you're listening, I'm sorry you can't see it, because I more people listed on Spotify and Apple than I realized. So, and we're doing all these visual things. So it's the Kingbolt RA-FM Floyd. We talked about it. You can look it up if you're listening when you get to your destination if you're driving. And I'm going to hit share screen again. And where is it? And we probably remember this. And oddly enough, you know what? When you're uploading these to the streaming platforms, out of all of the screenshots, it was this guitar that went on the thumbnail for Spotify. I was like, wow, that was kind of weird. It's almost, it's getting in my head subliminally to buy this. So I saw this guitar. I thought it was interesting when I first saw it, but when I was preparing for the NAMM pre-show that we did, I saw this guitar. I thought it was interesting. Then I saw the Vernon Reed and thought they were interesting. And I've known about Reverend since Billy Corgan switched over to them years ago. Didn't really like them that much, but they're okay. Then I saw this one and I liked the Floyd. They said in this video that I watched, the NAMM show that I watched, and I think it was on Anderton's, and then there was on another one, and there was something on the other one that stuck out in my head. So they were asking all about this guitar, and he said, "Yeah, so we had talked about this. This has the rail buckers, right?
Rail hammers, yeah.
Rail hammers, rail bucker. The rail hammer humbuckers, which I have. Man, one day I'm going to bring it in here so you can see it. It's your old guitar, that V. It has rail hammers in it. So I was familiar with the pickups. I like the pickups. Like the Floyd. I wasn't a big Floyd person. Now I definitely am, especially being associated with FU Tone. But and I think this guy, he's like the guy that runs Reverend. He could be the owner of Reverend. I forget. But he was on there, seemed like a really nice guy. But when he was describing this guitar, he said that they didn't like gold hardware. They started doing it. Vernon Reid likes gold hardware, he said. And then he said they went with the Floyd 1000 bridge. Vernon Reid likes that, which Vernon Reid is a few tone artist. So I didn't know he likes the Floyd 1000. But then he said, and it has the big brass block on it. So I was like, huh, that's a good guitar. So, I mean, it's a good guitar, brass block on it, solid foundation. It's an offset guitar kind of ish. It feels a lot like a Les Paul. It reminds me of a Les Paul ish. It feels like a Les Paul when you're playing it with a Floyd. But there were, let me give you some of the, so it has a volume, a tone, and a bass contour. So the lower is the bass contour. Those are the controllers on it. It said it has a brass block on it. Oh, it was Ken Haas of Reverend said that. And it came in. So I ordered it from Sweetwater. They gave me a great deal. So Sweetwater did not give me this guitar. I paid for it with my money, just so somebody doesn't think this is a Sweetwater commercial. So I got it in. Great guitar, and I'm going to take it down. I think everybody's seen enough of it. So
is that a flame top on that too? Is that like a flame maple top?
Yeah. And I'll hold it up here in a second, because it's right behind me. I brought it in, but you know, I want to show the weird parts of it first. So it came in, and it did have from Sweetwater's packaged great. I got the case. They have a really cool case with it. Cool shape, pretty compact. So I got the hard case with it, and they were nice enough to have their 55-point inspection done and have it shipped in the case rather than packed in the box. So that was nice of them to do. They did a great job on the packing and the shipping and all that. No damage. So I let it set, and then when I opened it the next day and started playing it, the frets were sharp, like very sharp. So immediately had to do, I think there were a couple that were just a little scotchy high. I just took care of those. Sharp frets on it. Had to do a setup on it and get the action lower. The action was pretty high on it, but like I said, I expect that, man. It came in the cold. It was in a cold truck, and that was weeks ago, and that was when it was super cold here in the Mid-Atlantic. So got it in, did the setup on it, started playing it. Then I decided I decided to go under the hood, right? So I opened up. I said, man, this guy said it had what's his name? Oh, Ken said it had and he looks like a nice guy. I'm messing around now, but he probably just didn't know. And Paul says, don't always know what's going on. So I open up the back, and it has a regular little dinky standard block and springs. It has an interesting claw in it to where you have five little claws. Well, 2 are set higher than the 3. So it has 2 different adjustments in it. Kind of hard to explain, but I found it odd because there were like 3 springs, and they're like on the 3 center hooks of the claw. So it had that. I had, it's funny because I never know how our crew that watches us is going to take a guitar like that, because it is an odd looking guitar. I don't know why I thought it was cool. I just thought it was different and I liked it. So I opened it up, had a small claw on it, or a small block on it. So I said, well, I'm going to put a brass block. I mean, I have all that FU tone here in stock, so I'm just going to pull one out, see how it played good, and it sounded good with the original stuff on it. But it was, I'll tell you this, and you know me, I have bricklayer's hands, so I don't have like soft hands. My hands are super hard. And the first night I played it before I did the fret work on it, it hurt to play. It was painful to play. They were that sharp. So not just a little sharp, they were that sharp. So did that on it. And of course, you know, my wife was telling me, well, you don't want to put a brass block on it yet, because I mean, what if you don't keep it? So of course, me being me, I put the brass block on it to see how it sounded. So the other thing I noticed is on that Floyd 1000, they have a weird, the fine tuner tensioner, the thing that looks like fingers underneath your fine tuners. It has like a weird curvature to it, to where when you put the FU tone brass block on it, because I put a 37 millimeter in it, so pretty sizable block, but what would fit in there, the largest that would fit in there. It wouldn't set down flush against the bottom. You know, it would kind of be like that, because there's a weird little, I don't know, it's a weird little elbow in the fine tuners. So I found that to be problematic. So, you know, that's coming in, and I'm coming in from FU Tone. I ordered one of those to bring it in. But the worst part, so that's all livable. So I played it that night after getting the frets done, played the guitar that night and put the block on it, and it's a monster. I mean, it plays well. It sounds good. I'm happy with it. It sounds like I'm pissing and moaning. And it's just because you and I, we've expressed enough that we want guitars to have higher quality when we're paying that much. Now, that guitar retails for $14.99. So Sweetwater gave me a good deal. I'm sure they would give anybody a good deal. I didn't get anything anybody else did. With our massive following of 200, they didn't give me a deal. So I was like, but look at all the advertisement you'll get. No, I didn't do that. But they gave me a good deal, so I didn't pay that. So here's the problem, though. So I was playing it because I played it a lot lately. So I was playing it. I start hearing something coming through my rig, and I was playing through the fractal because I do most of the time if I'm just sitting down playing out here. So I kept hearing something come through, like a vibration. I'm like, what in the world is vibrating on this? It wasn't a fret. It wasn't like a fret buzz. It was this. Can you hear that? It's that.
Yeah.
The trim arm.
Wow.
I could not believe it. It's so, like, as tight as you can get it. Was not tight enough to make it. I feel like my dad was not tight enough to make it stop jiggling.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So I had, I talked about the Charvel that I upgraded today. So, you know, usually I leave all the parts. This is related, so I'm not changing stories here. So usually if I do an upgrade and he wanted a compression fitting on his trim arm, so he said, hey, I don't want the old one. Just keep it, put it on somebody else's if somebody needs a trim arm. So I had that laying there, and I've since ordered one of those compression ones, a FU tone one for the Reverend. But so I had this laying there. I was like, I wonder, just out of curiosity, if this will wiggle and jiggle and vibrate if it's on there. So I put it on, plugged it in, nothing. And you could hear, like, there's the Reverend. And this came off of a Jackson. So like the same, you can't see it, it's black. But yeah, it's just aggravating. I mean, it's nothing big, right? I mean, you can change it, but when you spend $1,500 for a guitar, you should not have to be buying trim arms and all that.
Yep.
You just shouldn't.
Yeah. Where is the guitar made? By, do you know where it was made?
It is Korea. I'm almost positive. But yeah, and you can see like it has locking tuners on it. And there's, I don't know what kind of signature that is on the back of it. Probably.
And the 1000s are made in Korea too, I think, right? The Floyd Rose 1000s.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, and you can tell. I mean, the lighting in here. I can't see what you could see, but you know they did a pretty good job at trying to make it look high end, and it's not bad. It's not a bad guitar at all, and it definitely plays. It's a good playing guitar. You can get the action low on it, but you just shouldn't have to do all that stuff. The rail hammers are good. That bass contour, I'm still trying to get used to that and kind of figure out where it sounds the best. It's
so better than, is it better than a Chibson?
Yeah, it definitely is. I know I'm pissing and moaning, and it sounds like I don't like the guitar. I like it. I think overall, if I had to give after it has the brass block on it, and you know we took care of the fret issues and all that kind of stuff, man, I would give that thing a good 8 or 9 out of 10. It plays good. I like it.
But it's still a lot of work to put into something.
It is. But you know what? I think we're almost getting to the point, and I'm seeing this more and more. I think we're getting to the point now where people are coming to grips with the fact like they're going to buy a new guitar and just take it somewhere or have it set up.
And sometimes a guitar slips through the cracks, and you know it shouldn't be that way, but you know sometimes one gets through that shouldn't.
The problem is it seems like so many are falling through the cracks that the cracks are really friggin' big. You should get what you pay for it.
That's been, I mean that's been witnessed with Gibson. And Joe, if you're still watching, Rose and Joe, his guitar player John bought a Gibson Les Paul years ago that he was he was making payments on it, and he finally got it home. And I remember I came over his house and was checking it out, and he was just like, I'm getting rid of it. I'm taking it back. And the frets are all screwed up on it. And it's, when you pay money for, especially a USA guitar. You remember that. I'm sure he remembers that guitar.
Yeah. And he said
he got an LTD, I think, instead. He ended up, bringing the USA, it was like a studio or something like that, Les Paul studio, I think it was.
Right.
But it was just like super sharp edges, and it was really messed up.
Well, and it's really weird. That Joe said, he gets his good guitar set up and front work if needed. It's interesting to me. And now when I say, and I know we've all seen the fret leveling where they have the big beam and they're going up and down the fretboard, but more often than not, I see, and it literally happened, I think, on Saturday. And, guy brings it in and there's like one fret, and this happens a lot. There's one fret that it's buzzing just a little bit. And he was doing some studio work and he said, hey, I'm doing this, and it's coming through, and we did a setup on it. And I found that there was like, and it wasn't even the entire fret. I don't want to say it was up around like I want to say it was around the 12th or 14th fret in that area. So higher and on the fretboard. And it didn't happen it only happened on string 1 and 2. I stopped saying the other letters because everybody's in a different tuning now. So 1 and 2. It only happened on those. And I've also had other guys that we've talked about this before where, it only happened like, and we're talking like minute measurements. Like it was only like if you put a fret rocker on it, you could barely hear it rock, but when he fretted the note, you could hear it. So you're talking minuscule measurements, and some of these guys' ears are so precise they can hear it, and it's there. So yeah, it's interesting. So that's my little story. But overall, I'll say I am happy with. Could Reverend Guitars do better? Yes. Am I happy with their guitar? Yes. Am I gonna? But I also do my work myself. It may be a little different.
Well, let's look at it this way. So say you're a consumer that buys a guitar, you know nothing about setting up a guitar or whatnot.
Right.
So, obviously the individual buying it that doesn't know anything about the issues at hand.
Right.
And they have to take it to somebody to fix everything. So how much more money are they going to be spending to get that guitar right?
Right. Yeah, you're right. So and so let's break it down a little bit. So the trim arm, I mean, and is that something like some guys don't even play with a trim arm on, and I rarely use it, so I don't even know why I put it on, but it bugs me. Because in my mind, things should just be right. Things should just work when you pay for them. That's just the way it is. You know how I am. Like things are, when they're built to work. They should work. So it's more about that for me. But 24 bucks ish for the one that I got, which is, I call it the one with the compression fit on it. So we know what my prices are, but I know what there's a big box store here. So let's figure out theirs with fret leveling. I think last time I checked was $179, and I know shops that are charging $200, not far from here. So you just spent $14.99 for a guitar, and then you're in $200. And that's fret leveling. Fret ends, I mean, and people have different prices on that. I have two different prices. I have a price if I'm doing a setup, and then a price if you're doing it alone.
Is there a case included? I forgot. Is there a case included with the guitar?
No, the case was extra. The case was, I think the case was $200. Yeah.
So you're over. You're about $2,000, and so that's
and you don't have to buy a case. I mean,
but where I'm getting at is this: is it worth it in the end?
Right.
Like I can see if you're spending, say, I don't know, just say you're spending $700 for a guitar like that, and then you have to buy a case, and then you have to do the setup. Okay, but at a $1,500 price point, is it? I don't know. I guess it.
Well, I mean, let's face it. That and I think this is made in Korea. I think,
and I'm not one of those guys that complains about. I know there's people that are super particular. Like there's a guy that say, I've seen guys, on forums, they spend, say it's a custom shop or something like that, and they spend $5,000-$6,000, and there's this slight little thing that you nobody can see, and they're just like, oh, the guitar is ruined, and I spent $6,000, and there's this little mini, microscopic dot there, and I'm sending it back. It's ruined.
Yeah.
So there are those people, too.
I may have been that person, but I've gotten over that. But we've talked about this before. There are some people that are like that with guitars. I'm like that with everything. I don't like nicks in my cars. I just like things to be right and look good. But I was that guy.
It feels and sounds good, and if there's a little scratch or something, I'm not having a meltdown over it.
Yeah,
Joe cares about that. I know.
He says, I'm there now. I'm with him now. Who cares?
Yeah.
Play the guitar. I
Yeah,
totally
yeah,
agree. But
yeah.
you know what? I have to tell you this. It's a mental thing. It's a mental thing. You know how I am. Man, I told you it goes to cars too, man. I got a ding in my door, within a month of buying. This is years ago. I bought a new car and got a ding, and I immediately went and got the ding repaired, knowing I was going to get more dings.
Mhm.
Like, who cares? Drive the car. It's like, no, it's a mental thing. I get it.
Mhm.
But get it fixed and play it. You know me, I've come a long way. My stuff's some of my stuff's pretty
But
rough now.
I mean, you know, especially my bandmates, they know how particular I am about every little detail of how the guitar is set up, how it
Right.
feels to me. Like that, I am extremely particular about
Yeah.
all those things. Like I need it perfect to how I need it to feel,
Right.
and play. But as far as cosmetics, some of the cosmetics, I can
Yeah.
get over some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends. On
Yeah. And I think that I like some of the things that I see guys doing with guitars. I told you I have a bass out here right now that I'm getting ready to hopefully, bring it on home tomorrow as a project. And people are coming up with the funkiest stuff and the coolest, like in a cool way, funky.
Mhm,
But this one here, it's an older bass, old PV bass,
mhm.
new electronics, new pickup, shielding, the cavity, and all that kind of stuff. And then we found
Nice.
out that I was like, hey, and most of this. I'm just telling for people watching. It's an older bass, and I'll have pictures of it, and we go to put the pickups in on mounted on the pickup or the pick guard. It's like, oh, they're not direct mount. Where's the pickup ring? So I called him. He goes, oh shit, where's the pickup rings? And they don't even make them anymore. But and the reason for telling this goofy story is it's a cool bass for one, cool project, and I'm seeing a lot of guys doing really cool projects. But I found a guy that makes these things. He does great work. I'll give I forget the name of his company now, but
Mhm.
when I researched it on the internet, like all the bulletin boards, it's like he's the guy. He's up in Pennsylvania.
Oh,
Good to deal with. It took a couple weeks, but he made the part. I think he's using a 3D printer, but made a really good set of pickup rings for this thing.
mhm.
Does great work. So I'll pass that along because I like to put things on here that people can search because I know I'm searching for stuff like these pickup
Mhm.
rings, for instance. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff. I have some stuff coming out with some FU tone projects that I've done here recently. A lot of people putting the FU tone and the titanium in.
And I
Um,
also got to give a little shout out to Adam. I think I mentioned it to you about he did a new bridge with it's like a camouflage color.
yeah,
I don't know if you saw that yet.
yep, I did.
And wow, that is really cool.
Yeah, yeah,
And different, I don't think I've seen a bridge with that color like that.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. They're doing some. He put out one today that looked pretty cool. It was two colors I didn't think would go together. It was like a chrome Floyd with gold titanium in it. It actually went well together. I was
Nice.
pretty surprised. All right, I
Yeah.
have one more thing. If anybody has any comments or questions, kick them in because we're going to bring it to a
Mhm.
close here in a minute. We don't have a 2-hour show tonight. Oh, let's see. Presenting. God.
And
I wonder.
and to get back to the Reverend Guitar, I'm actually I'll probably see you this weekend. So I want to check it out. I'm actually really
Yeah.
curious. So
So it's funny. I was going to say this earlier. So the whole reason I got a case is I figured it would just be it's a smaller case. You'll see it. It's kind of cool. And I know we're going to get together and play. That'll be the one I'll bring it
Mhm.
over and you can check
Yeah.
out the guitar and it's pretty portable. So look at this. I ran across this is another thing I just kind of ran across. Somebody doing a review on these Harley Bentons and like 199 for this.
Wow.
Like I know it has too many strings, but you know, it, you can't beat that.
Yeah.
$199.
Yeah.
So And I have, so here, have you ever played a Harley Benton?
I have not, and I hear a lot of good things from you and other
Yeah.
people. You know,
Yeah.
so
So
yeah, I heard some really great budget guitar. You know,
yeah, we've
so,
talked about them before. It's Thomann is the company, and
mhm.
they have. I wonder if this will. I have too many screens. No, it won't. They have some other ones on here, but I mean, look at this new bone nut. Just
A bone
synthetic.
nut.
No, new bone. So it's a synthetic.
Oh,
But
okay.
they're
I see.
actually I mean, not necessarily graph tech, but close. Basswood, maple neck,
Mhm.
$199.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can let's see, cheat before you buy a guitar uh, at a store like Guitar Center, wouldn't you point out the issues you see on one that you want and demand they fix it in-house? I'm going to talk about this. I have an answer for this. And you should pay the same price that it was listed. All right, I have Cheech, I'm going to come back. I have a great example. And I think I talked about this, but I'll bag on Guitar Center a little bit because it shouldn't have happened. Joe played one. To finish up on the Harley Bentons, as you know, I went down and worked with a guy in Virginia Beach, a luthier
Mhm.
down there who's a phenomenal Hawkins guitar. Look him up. Built some beautiful guitars. Great guy, super talented guy. So the week, and I didn't know him at the time I go in there. We're just meeting each other. First customer comes in and he drops off a Harley Benton, and I didn't know him very well, so I kind of didn't say that much about it. And then another one came in, and I was like, "Wow, is that one of those Harley Bentons? I've heard about them, never seen one." And he said, I'd never seen one of those come in the shop till today, and today we've had two of them. So he kind of asked me my goals because I was doing some training with him, and he said, "What are your goals?" And I pointed out an expensive guitar, and I said, "I want to have that Harley Benton play like an expensive guitar," and it played really well when we got done. Good setup on it.
Mhm.
Comes down to a good setup, level frets, low action. Um, I'm sure that they probably use some lesser quality electronics and wiring and things like that. But it's definitely a good base and something to work with.
Yeah. I mean, if you get a solid piece of wood and that's made, made right, I mean, you can always
Yeah.
replace the electronics,
Yeah. And I mean, some of theirs, I hate to say it because I like this guitar. It's not necessarily my custom shop or my Les Paul, but I like it.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
these $199, you can't beat that. Um, I'm gonna throw this up here and then I'm gonna move back. Thank you, AG and Cheech. So we're gonna come back to this. So I had weird coincidence. I think he was here today. He was. So we had I had a customer, and he comes in here a lot with nice guitars, and I would say he's a pretty big fan of Charvels, and I like Charvels too. I think they're really cool guitars. And he went to Guitar Center and he bought. And Cheech, you may remember me talking about this, but this is how it turned out. So he bought a brand new Charvel guitar, and he called me and he said, "Hey, the frets were sharper than this one." He said the frets are sharp, needs fret work, needs a setup, all this kind of stuff. Can you do it? And I said, "Sure." I said, "Do you?" And it comes out on one of those things like if you like the guitar, if you like how it looks, you like how it feels, like how it plays, and you like the guitar, then it's worth the investment of paying 150 bucks, whatever it was going to be, to set it up and do the fret ends and fret work and get it where you like it and set up for you and your playing style. which I think is the key. But he brings it over and we take a look at it. And the electronics were FUBAR. I mean, it's so bad that in no position of the 5-way switch could you get a full humbucker to play in the bridge position. Like, no position had the full humbucker. There was always some weird split somewhere. So I looked it up. I looked up the specs of that guitar. I looked up the switching diagram, the wiring diagram, and it was wired incorrectly from the factory. And I said, listen, man, we could sit here. We can make it do what it's supposed to do, but you definitely shouldn't have to do that. You shouldn't have to do fret work and rewire it, and you shouldn't have to pay for all that stuff. So he took it back. He returned it. He got another guitar. He likes it a lot. I think, if I'm not mistaken, if anybody follows my social media, it's that pink Solar is what he replaced it with, which was a really nice guitar. That thing turned out really nice, cool guitar. So that's what he replaced it with, and he's really happy with that. And the sharp L he got today. But so he takes it back to Guitar Center, and they said that and I'm trying to remember the whole story. So they said, well, we don't know if our tech is certified to work on Charvels. So it's, which roughly translated to me is they want to get reimbursed from Charvel if their guy's going to do work on it. So and I think I did complain about this, but I'm more specific about it now. So he returned it. They didn't want to have the guy do it. They should have made it right. They should have done a setup on it if they wanted to complete the sale, especially after they sold it and found out it wasn't correct. The right thing to do as a business is to take it back and make it right and make the customer happy. But they didn't do that. They took it back on a return, and I'm almost positive I saw it hanging on the wall. So that's how I'm looking over at your comment to make sure I answered it. So yeah, he kind of demanded. It didn't sound like they did. Maybe they were having an off day. They are. And I hate to say that because, you know, the manager of ours is a good guy. Like, he's trying. The local guys in the stores, I think, are trying to do the right thing. Like, I know he's trying to up his game for his local store. It's just when you're part of a big mega ship like that, and you're getting your lunch taken by Sweetwater, it's tough. And we have good mom and pops around here too. So we have good mom and pop stores. Hell, we have one in town that Joe Bonamassa went on one of his safaris. It deals with vintage stuff. So
we actually need more mom and pop shops. I think. We need back to that. I miss that. You know.
Yep. So, I would much rather shop there than at the big store.
Great company. You know.
What's that?
But Sweetwater is just a great company. So you know, it's, you know, if you're a Guitar Center, then do better. You know, if you want to compete with somebody like Sweetwater. Yeah. You know. So
yeah, it's really and it comes down, man, I have to say, like, sometimes you have to in anything you do, I don't care if it's business or my old world of public safety, like, sometimes you have to, like, put the rules aside and just do what's right for the customer or the person or whatever. And that time the Guitar Center was not awesome in that case. But there, I could tell you, you know, again, the manager of the store is good. You know, they have what they have. They lost a lot of their people during COVID, and, you know, other places are paying more money. When I retired, they at one point, their assistant manager offered to give me a job for $7 an hour. I told him I couldn't make less than at that time, Maya was 15. I said, I can't make less than my 15-year-old daughter at Target. She'll make fun of me. Plus, I was still working at the fire department at the time. He was saying, hey, retire and come to work here for $7 an hour. I was like, I can't do that. I think they're paying them more now, but this has been long ago, you know, within the last 5 years. But yeah, they're trying to. But man, when the mothership company doesn't have a good foundation, like, you can only do what you can do. I'm sure that tech down there, who seems very good, I've talked to him, very nice guy. He's helped me out on occasion. I've needed a couple oddball parts, and he had them in his, like, we all save stuff. So, I would help him the same way. But yeah, sorry, that was a long-winded answer, Cheech. I'm sorry. It's just frustrating. I know it almost seems like it's been a downer show, huh?
No, not at all. It's been interesting.
I think, like kind of to recap, I think I didn't always know that Sweetwater offers small businesses assistance. And there's times that I hate that I can't go to the smaller business, but if I go to a smaller mom and pop, I'm just going to bog them down just like I get bogged down, because I don't charge people for looking things up. I just do it because I would hope somebody would return the favor if I needed it.
Sure.
But when you're Sweetwater, you have guys. I just again, not to keep talking about my social media, but if you to see pictures of what I'm talking about, I had a guy bring in a lap steel. I'm like, I'm not a lap steel guy, and he wanted a pickup. So I called Sweetwater, my old rep, and I was like, hey man, I know you all have the assets to devote to this. What is a good pickup? And he sold me a Seymour Duncan hot chicken.
Yeah.
I just thought the name of that is cool as shit, man. I need a pickup named the hot chicken. So yeah, so they were very helpful. And at that point, I got the new sales guy. He's a cool dude. They're all guitar guys pretty much. And, if they don't know, they'll find somebody that does. And, you don't have to bog down the mom and pops around here research. You don't have to bog yourself down. And they're super helpful. I didn't always know they were that way, but that's all I have. I think this has been a cool show. It's been fun. Sometimes it's fun to just get in here and BS.
Yeah.
I'm just checking out. I'll do more research on my bass contour knob. We'll look at it when we play Monday.
Yeah, and actually, if any of you out there that are listening, if you have any ideas for topics you would like us to discuss for future episodes, please share it in the comments. Always up for some new cool topics to discuss.
Yeah.
Show.
And we've talked about I don't know if you wanted to talk about what we wanted to maybe do with Henny's guitar.
Oh yeah, I haven't even spoke with him.
Maybe you should talk to him first.
But it could be cool. I mean,
maybe we'll just talk generically. We could say, like, maybe there's going to be a time where we do a we'll have three of us in here, and you two can talk, and together we'll all sit here and work on a guitar live and do an upgrade or something.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Hopefully all you fellow guitar nerds out there will enjoy it. And to see it like actually live. Putting a guitar together.
In all of its excitement. Today they would have seen me. I ended up with a sweatpants crotch full of glue today, so it would have been super exciting. There's so much excitement in this room during the day. I can't.
Wires scattered everywhere. And,
it was. So that wasn't fun. It's never fun when you lose the start wire on a humbucker pickup when you finish wrapping 5,000 lines on it. It looked like somebody ripped all the hair out of a brunette on the table behind me, though.
Well, when I first saw that, that's what I thought it was.
Maybe I'll put that on I should put it up on the Instagram thing tomorrow on the Guitar Gear Locker one. So it's just kind of funny. It was something. God, you feel when you get done with that, you're like, shit, start all over. But yeah, we're still gonna talk. We're still gonna have guests. I have one. God, I feel awful because every time I'm doing something, every time I mean to return tomorrow, I will email him back. It's a guy in a band. We're gonna have him on. You have more guests that we're going to have on, but there's going to be times where it's just you and I shooting the shit in here too. So, which I think we both kind of like, surprisingly.
Yeah, it's just like us normally BSing.
Only people are watching us.
The nerdy stuff that we talk.
Yeah, right. This is what's funny is this is like a repeat of our 2-hour conversation last night. My wife woke up this morning. She goes, "What in the hell did you all talk about for so long?" I was like, I don't know. I said it on the show last week. Hell, me by myself, I could talk to an empty chair.
Yeah, I only got a few minutes, and then it's like 2 hours later.
Yeah, exactly. How many times do we say, "Yeah, we gotta go. We gotta go."
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Cheech has. All right, we're gonna bring it. If anybody has anything, kick it in now. Agoraphobia, immolation for the Hall of Fame. How about a discussion about guitars?
Definitely not the rock and roll Hall of Fame.
On random. I don't understand it. A discussion about guitars and guitarists used on random records you pick out.
On random records. You mean like session guys or
You know, I think what so I did reach out to that person that we talked about that has a new signature guitar, and you know, some of it is just it's hard to get a hold of people. You know, we've had people on the hook before, and I never realized like people are busy with touring and
that's one of the biggest problems even for me with mutual friends of mine that are in bands that, you know, they're in Europe or they're, you know, they're in tour here, and it's just, you know, and I know what it's like being on the road. You know, people think you have all this time, but your day goes by so quick, and there's like this little, you know, fragments in there that you have some time to do whatever, and you could be really busy being on tour when you have a certain schedule. So it can be tough, you know.
Yeah, and we've reached out to people. There's going to be last week was great, by the way. I forgot to bring that up. Last week was
that was a lot of fun. You know, with Paul from Black Gamble, Erica, you know, Ross, Chuck. You know, it was a lot of fun. You know.
Yeah.
You know, we'll actually got some ideas to do more of that kind of thing. You know,
Chuck has a good sense of humor, right?
Chuck? Yeah, Chuck. He does. No, I get his sense of humor.
No. When we've talked offline, he's a little different, a little more laid back. I'm just making sure before I say my little joke, he has a good sense of humor because I mean it in good nature. But I want to put this, Chuck, I hope you're watching. And I hope you think this is funny. So I'm going to put this mental image in everybody's head. So go back and look at Chuck last week and then watch, what was it, Bohemian Rhapsody? Where they're all in black and white and you can see their face. The whole night I'm looking at them like, this is like watching Bohemian Rhapsody video.
Totally. Yeah.
I love you, brother.
Yeah.
No, I just thought I said that to you on the phone. I think he'd probably take it. It's a little lighthearted. Watching him though, I was like, man, it reminds me of something. What is it? So, well, if that's all everybody has,
we'll see you guys next week.
And, next Thursday we'll be on. We may have a guest. We'll know soon. We could have. I mean, we could have had one this week. We just wanted to get on here and bullshit.
Yep. Yeah. But you will definitely see it next week.
What's that? So, Metallica called. We said we were busy.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Yeah, that's right. We're gonna have them on next week. All right, guys. Thanks for Necroshin. Always, Joe. Thanks for being early. I don't know how you get here so early, but make sure you pass us on and have people like and subscribe. So far, this has been a grind, man. We did talk about that the other night. Like YouTube is a grind. Like, I mean, I think we're up to 200 and some subscribers. I didn't realize it just chugged along. We get a lot of people watching, so that's kind of cool. All over the world too. That's a cool thing.
Yep.
All right, I'll shut my mouth. Guys. Everybody have a good week. We'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us.